cover them at the end. Welcome to the Compliance Weekly for the 20th of March. The first order of business is just to go through the milestone board and check over the closed items. So I'll share my screen. I believe the last one that we did was the compliance framework label removed when project is moved. The next one is test compliance workflows against sales POC. Jose, for your names on that, do you mind?
So we had a couple of workflows we wanted to test on the sales POC that they had. So we were able to complete most of them. I guess we missed doing one that was assigned to Hersimer, but that's okay. Yeah, we found no issues during the POC, so we should be good.
Yay. And then from that, yeah, I closed this issue, which is t-shirt sizing, any of the issues that we found from the workflow. So closed that without having to do any work there, which is fantastic. The next one was add basic list table pagination of security policies in the create edit compliance framework screen. Does anyone else want to talk about this? Otherwise, I can quickly talk it through. So now when you go through to a compliance framework, it will show all of the policies that have been linked to it and all of the potential policies that can be linked to it, which is really exciting as we start bringing in security policies and using compliance frameworks to scope them to projects. The next step is to then allow adding and editing security policies from that, and I know Elia's already over that one. Next one was compliance frameworks. Form validation is broken. It requires a trailing slash. This was created, Elia and I both tested it and found that this issue doesn't exist. Then the user also found it doesn't exist. So it might have been in between a couple of MRs. It's all good. And planning and updates issues were closed. Add a drawer for specific policy information. Anybody want to talk about this? I think Aaron, you validated it.
Yeah, I did verification on a couple of these that were kind of related to the policy editor. In fact, the verification steps were like very similar. I think this one was the same thing, except now when you click on a policy within the Compliance Center Frameworks tab, you'll go to another page which lists the linked policies, and from there you can also click on the policy to edit it. So yeah, that's cool. We're just making that more usable.
Nice. And link to policy editor from framework editing. I'm guessing that's the similar one. That one was adding the drawer and the other one was linking it properly. About what you talked about. Cool. Next one was add column to audit event docs for whether it's a product, adding the scope to the audit event docs with Husafer.
Yeah, so this was a bit long issue where we were adding the scope to all the existing YAML files. So this issue concludes everything, and now a new audit event cannot be added without an existing, without a scope to it. So yeah, now we also have everything in docs, so it's easier for a user to understand whether an audit event belongs to a project or a group or an instance or maybe multiple of those. So yeah.
And the final one was adherence reporting grouping results with Jay.
Yeah, for that one, it's just finishing up the grouping results. So all the grouping is there now, checks standard projects and none. But yeah, I think there was a small issue found, but that was split off into a separate issue.
Was there any others that anyone wanted to talk through in the board? No. All right, then we'll move on to planning issue and compliance framework report show linked policies. That was with Elia, which I guess based on those issues, it looks like he's pretty well on the way to completing that. So hopefully we can get a positive milestone goal there. The next one was migrate audit events to ClickHouse Cloud with Hasima. Anyone want to update there? I know this was discussed a little bit at Summit.
Yeah, so I mean, with the discussions that Harsivar and I had with Kamil, it seems like they'll not be having a separate ClickHouse for every cell. They want ClickHouse to be like a cluster wide thing. So he was mentioning, like he was planning that it would be nice if we move everything to ClickHouse before the sales thing, and then we don't even need to make any changes on the Postgres side. I know I saw the comment from Thong there where he was mentioning to split the tables, but I hold it off adding a comment there. I'm waiting for Harsimer to come back and add his thoughts there. But that's what we discussed in Summit, where Kamil was aligned with the thing that if we move everything to ClickHouse, that would be nicer for everyone.
Yes, cool. The next one is third-party connected to Snowflake. Who's that for?
Yeah, so I started working on this today. I was going through the docs that was shared to us. So the two things to it, I mean, it's a line that we'll be creating a connector app instead of using these NoSQL APIs and stuff, just because of the marketing thing and everything. And since we also need to later on like use the same app for streaming, I mean, for adding issues, merge requests, and maybe any other things to Snowflake. So it makes sense to create the third-party connector application. So the two parts to this, they have the Snowflake native SDK connector, which is still in public preview. The first phase is in public preview, and the second one is in a private preview, which they have shared with us. The second one is only in Java. The first one is Python or Java. So I'm still not sure like what additional benefits of using the phase 2 SDK are, and it's in such an initial stages that they don't even have a jar or something on Maven. They just shared the Java code with us locally. They want us to build the jar locally and use that jar in the native SDK. So like everything is. I mean, you could literally make changes to the jar as well, as per your wish. I also pinged. Not sure his name, someone from Snowflake who's actually writing all those connectors and things, but I haven't heard back from him yet. So yeah, I'm still. So the first part for this is I'll be trying to set up the example GitHub Java connector using the native SDK that they have. Publish that, like deploy that, build that, deploy that, and publish it to our Snowflake instance, and see if we can like stream data from GitHub's API to the connector, and then based off that, at least we'll know the flow of how it works, and then based off that, I can start creating a connector, a similar connector for GitLab. Yeah, I think that's it. Since we want this out in 17, I guess we just have 2 milestones. So my plan was to work on this in 16.11, so that we at least have a POC out, and then on 17 in the 17.0 milestone, we can probably like if there's any polishing work that's left, we can do that, and we can also like work on how we will actually publish that to the Snowflake marketplace. So that's what my plan is. If everything is good, I mean, we should be able to have at least a POC in 16.11. And the thing is, like, I had a few pros on using Python because I mean, one, it's similar to Ruby. Two, the team was comfortable using that. Three, the front end of the app uses Streamlit, which has to be in Python anyway. So using a single language for everything. But now since the phase 2 SDK doesn't support Python, unfortunately, we'll have to write the business logic using Java, but the front end of the application still needs to be in Streamlit, which is Python. So now you'll have a repo which has both Python and Java, but that's how it is. And they've also mentioned like it's the native SDK is still in development, and there could be any breaking changes, any changes. So not sure.
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to talk that through with them, and we can always switch to Python if once they release the Python SDK for that as well. for the version 2 of the native SDKs, right? So
Yeah, I mean that could be done, but I mean if it's I mean, if we start working on it and we have a Java repo, then probably just using Java should be fine. I mean, at least personally, I'm comfortable using Java, no issues, because I've been developing Android apps in Java quite a lot, so I don't have any issues. But yeah, I mean, we can have a discussion with the team and see what everyone thinks. But as of now, I have to do the POC in Java. That's for sure.
yes, cool. All right. Do you need any help from anyone in the group?
As of now, I don't think so, because it's mostly reading the documentation, following the steps, setting things up locally. Yeah. If what I do is like if I am able to do everything successfully, then probably I'll like create my own doc, which could be based off on their doc, so that we have a simple list of steps that everyone can follow and set up the project.
But, cool. Anyone else want to discuss that one while we're on it? Cool. Next was Sam's compliance pipeline to security policy migration. Don't know if there's any update on that. Hitesh with consolidation of tables for streaming audit events. No update. Hasima with the branch level protection. No update. Huzaifa with show compliance progress for SOC 2. Check.
Yep. So this in this one we have merged one check. The second one was in review. Had a couple of review comments from backend. I've holded that off for a while. As long as I'm working on the Snowflake stuff, and we also have a third check which is still not developed. So yeah, that's the current status, and probably holding it off until I have Snowflake out.
That makes sense. Next one was Jay with the comprehensive audit events.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of one of those right now while I was doing the recordings for audit event days. So that's on its way, and it's just the 2, so should be at least half done by this milestone, if not completely done by the end of this milestone.
Nice. Great to see that in action. Next one was the Indian test coverage with myself. I know Hitesh is almost finished with the standards adherence report, and I've got to catch up with Harsha, who's been working on the SAML auth MR protection. I believe he wanted to complete that in 16.10, 16.11, so it should be, hopefully we have a good update next week on that one. Earlier with the improve the compliance frameworks. No idea. Sam with the SAML SSO, I know there was one issue still remaining that he's working on, so hopefully we can get an update on that next week. Jay, the standards adherence report improvements.
Yeah, I think on that one, it was just the grouping and the pagination issue that was left. So the grouping MRs in, the pagination issue MRs in, and I think there's one more follow-up, which was the adding the count on grouping, but that was it for improvements.
I could also list another one. I forgot to create an issue for this. We added the newest stock to check, but I'm not sure if the steps to remediate the fix when we add is correct. I think it still points to one of the checks, the previous ones, the GitLab standards. So it would be nice if we create something, because I didn't touch that part of the front end code, because I saw it as like a separate view stuff, so I just left that. So it would be nice if we could just check that out, because that would also get used when we add subsequent SOC 2 checks.
Okay, yeah, no, good catch. I forgot about that. Can add that in.
Thank you.
So, and then the last one was the compliance database tables work for cells. There is 3 issues there. One was the audit events database that we talked about before that we'll have to it's going to stretch out a long time, but there's two other smaller issues about just adding sharding keys, and they've both been scheduled for 16/11, so hopefully we can get through them. Anything else anyone wants to share?
I just wanted to ask, I have an issue assigned to me for moving the repository audit download to from streaming only, from saving to database to streaming only, since it's a breaking, and it's a breaking change. So we don't create an MR for that yet, right? We have to create that in 17.0 so that it gets released with 17.0, right?
Yeah. So it's just more. I mean, it's best to have it like if we can, we put it behind a feature flag and then turn on the feature flag in 17.0, and so it's all put it by default.
Okay.
0.
Okay.
But if it can't go behind a feature flag, then yes, we'll just have to wait and maybe get the code ready. But yeah, it's
Okay.
a tricky one.
It makes sense. And the other thing is, like, even though the 17.0 release would be sometime March, April, sometime in May, but the code on GitLab.com might be deployed earlier,
Correct.
which should be fine, right?
Yes, that's the whole reason we've done all the deprecation notices for those ones. So
Okay.
everyone knows that it's coming on 17.0 and any time in the 17.0 milestone,
Okay.
including
Okay.
the
Okay.
release. It should be fine. Cool. And then the next thing on the agenda is FYIs and Zypher. You've got one?
I think it was just a read only to complete the post summit survey via Culture Amp. Yes.
Catch. Even if you didn't go as well, please fill it out. They want to know how the whole company are feeling. Cool. Anything else from anyone? Otherwise, I'll stop the recording. Wave to the camera.